Good morning. My name is Jeremiah Wilson, a fourth grader from T.L. Marsalis. What is your dream for today's world? According to Webster's dictionary, a dream is a series of images, ideas, emotions, and feelings that occur in the mind during certain stages of sleep. As I reflect upon this year's theme, I can't help but to think on how we've been dreaming since Dr. King's speech in 1963. In just 2017 alone, we have endured a series of the lack of morality and humanity, ideas of war and separation, a roller coaster of emotions that make us regret watching the news at night. And although I may not understand the logistics of it all, I've been exposed to see the evils of this world. So pardon me, Dr. King, if I have a hard time dreaming. Protest, terrorism, mass shootings, racism. There is a lot happening in this world. These consequences are a direct result of us not loving others. And if the truth be told, sometimes we do not rightfully love ourselves. In 1957, Dr. King delivered a powerful sermon titled, "Loving Your Enemies." It was, and still is today, a direct guide on how we can change our world by simply using the whole philosophy of love. Dr. King reminds us that human nature and the need for power disrupts the flow of unity. I, like Dr. King, believe that there are three basic practices that are necessary for the survival of our civilization. If we are to be the change we want to see in the world, we must first take a good look at ourselves and ask, what is it in me that makes me hate my brother? Now, Dr. King, that's a tough pill to swallow. We can always find a reason to hate. We hate the color of their skin, their religious beliefs, or the political party of their choice. But if we were to follow Dr. King's practice of agape love, we must choose to accept our brother's differences. If we are brave enough to love our enemies, our next challenge is to seek the good in him. Dr. King challenges us to recognize that the person, the nation, or the race that despises you still possesses qualities of goodness within them. And when we choose to focus on the positivities that lies within our brother, we begin to love him in spite of his faults. I have a desire to change the world like Dr. King, to love like Dr. King. But his last principle of love is the hardest to fulfill. He instructs us to practice self-control. And when the opportunity presents itself, never defeat your enemy. Now, I know, Dr. King, you were smart. But how do you expect someone to see victory over their enemy and decide not to take it? In his sermon in Alabama, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. tells us the story of Abraham Lincoln and the Secretary of War, Mr. Stanton. Lincoln was running for president and was advised that Mr. Stanton was going around the country talking about him. But when it was time for Lincoln to choose a Secretary of War, he chose Mr. Stanton because he was the best candidate for the job. President Lincoln had the power and resources to retaliate against Stanton, but he didn't choose the pathway of darkness, but a pathway of love. So, you might be thinking, well, what is your dream for today's world? My dream for today's world is simple. I dream a world where our men, women, boys, and girls can dwell in a place where love and not hate abound. I dream a world where conflict is solved through peaceful dialogues and not the acts of violence. I dream a world where we embrace and celebrate our differences instead of allowing them to drive us to hate. In the words of Dr. King, I, Jeremiah Wilson, have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I pray that you will join me in the quest of living out my dreams. Thank you.